What is the truth? That's the topic of my conversation with you today. And I want to come about it from an angle that maybe might be something that will get you going a little bit to think about what the truth is for you in a way that you haven't looked at it before. So how I want to look at it and how I want to present this to you is to look at it from a place of entitlement. And because the theme of truth right now is something that we're wrestling with and struggling with on a collective level and as individuals of knowing like what is the truth for us in our life, if we look at it from the angle of entitlement, and there's several ways to look at it, of course, but I want you to look at it from this angle. And what I mean by entitlement is, where in your life do you feel entitled? What do you feel entitled to? Because what's underneath and how you answer that question is a truth. And where that truth is, where that truth lies for you, and the answer to that question is where you are losing power. So as an example to this answering of this question of entitlement, I want to share with you a little bit of my experience with it over the past few days. So as some of you know, I was at a workshop over this weekend, and that was one of the questions that was presented to us, and we needed to journal on where we felt entitled. And so it was kind of hard for me to get really into tapping into where I feel entitled, although I'm sure people that know me can say, oh, I know where you feel entitled. But anyway, so what came up, one of the pieces that came up for me was the area of, I feel entitled to know the truth. And that may sound like a paradox, and actually it is, but that's part of the shadow, is that the work that I do and what has led me to come to do the work that I do here today, and helping others and seeing themselves in their life and finding their soul self, is that I help them to find the truth. And in that, I'm a bit of a detective. So I'm constantly searching for what are the answers, what's more information, what is the truth of this, and always trying to connect the dots. But how that can show up for me sometimes in shadow is that there are times when I feel that I have a right to know the truth when it's really not, I'm not privy to the truth. And what I mean by that is maybe in a relationship where somebody has their own information that's in their heart. And as an intuitive, you know, it's really easy for someone to, as an intuitive, to be able to read and pick up on people that we love and that we connect with, and just people, period, that are in our lives, of when we feel like they're holding something back. And so in that way, it's easy to cross a line because we want to know the truth. So in that way, that's where I can catch myself. It's like, I want to know the truth. And so I partnered up with somebody else, an individual in the workshop, somebody I didn't know, and we started talking about, like, so where was it for him that he feels entitlement? And we kind of talked in circles, and he was really struggling. He says, you know, I don't think I have any entitlement. And I said, okay, you probably are just not seeing it, so let's try to go a little bit deeper. And what ended up coming up for him was that his wife suffers from an illness. And it's not an illness to where it's something that that's fatal, but it is an illness that's chronic for her. And one of the things that he shared was that how he felt that everyone should live a life where they don't have to be sick. And then it was like, bingo, we went bingo, there it is. There's that sense of entitlement that individual feels, that man felt, that everyone should have the ability to live a full and healthy life. And I'm not saying that that's not something that I'm saying, no, nobody has that right to do it, because we do. But what we don't get to choose in this life is that we don't always get to choose what happens to us, how our life ends, what kind of disease that we may possibly get. We don't get to choose that. Yes, we are co-creators. And so the point of all this is of course, how are we losing power by that entitlement? And so what we discovered in this conversation with this gentleman is that this is where he has the victim show up for him, is that feeling that life has victimized him and his wife by the fact that she has this chronic struggle with her health. We don't know why that was given to her. We don't know her soul path. We don't know the journey that her soul decided here to come and take, and that said, okay, part of this whole journey is that I'm going to struggle with this certain thing in my life because this is going to help me to experience what I've come here and the karma that I've come here to evolve for myself in this lifetime. So consider that for yourself. What or where do you feel entitled in your life? Because this is part of the shadow, and we all have it. We all have a sense of entitlement somewhere, and in several areas, because believe me, I just didn't have one, but that was just one that I brought up. So just take a moment to self-reflect on that. What is your truth? What is your truth inside you that you haven't quite yet pinpointed of where you feel entitlement in your life? And how is that running an underlying pattern in the background that's maybe keeping you in victim, that's keeping you disempowered in a way that you've been struggling with? And I heard a quote, and I thought this was amazing, and the quote was, how can you live in your highest potential when you're struggling to manage your lower potential? And that's not a statement to be negative. It's just a statement to just kind of contemplate, and how can you self-reflect on that for you? So I hope this was of some help for you. And if you have any questions or you want to have a conversation, just direct message me. I'm happy to do that. Namaste.